Okay, go for it. Hi, I'm Ben Clark. Welcome to Telluride. You're watching the Rest of Everest podcast. Woo!
This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience. Episode 35, Picking Up the Pieces.
Hey you, are you walking all alone?
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Rest of Everest video podcast. I'm John Miller. As you saw from that intro video, I'm in Telluride this weekend hanging out with Ben Clark. How you doing, Ben?
Good, John. Glad you're here.
We had a little bit of fun skiing today. I haven't skied in a long time, but...
He rips.
I still got it.
Ow!
So, yeah, we've been having fun and got some nice snow today, nice cold temperatures, and unlike the rest of the world, it was snowy here. So, well, anyway, let's head back up to... Actually, we're going to head back up to Advanced Base Camp this week to let all of you see kind of what it looked like after Ben returned up higher on the mountain to see the carnage that had ensued from the windstorm.
The carnage.
So here we go. Okay, so this is actually a shot you guys have already seen. This is Advanced Base Camp. And,
otherwise known as Tent City, and bound together by ropes from an enormous storm that had moved through in the previous 9 and 10 days prior. Rough place to be. I actually remember Jim Wickwire, the famous climber, coming down to see John Ross Kelly, and that was when he decided he never wanted to come back to Everest again. He was like,
that was it.
I've been up there for 5 days, I'm out of here, I'm done. Went home. Smart guy.
Alright, so this is what? This must be going back up the North Col.
Yeah, it is. This is headed up the lower portions of the route to the North Col. As you can see, it's pretty icy, pretty windblown.
I think it's fucked. Anyway, right.
This footage is shot by the Royal Navy. They were kind enough to get this to us. So, okay, so this is the next day. And so this is sunrise, I'm guessing.
The sunrise or sunset? Looks like sunset.
Oh man, yeah, I'm actually...
I think that might be the later that afternoon.
There they all are.
Well, lots of tents up there. This being the 50th anniversary, there were people all over the mountain.
So what was it like when you got back up there? Obviously, as you can see, there's it was a little bit different from when you last were there.
It's disgusting. There's tents, debris. I mean, everything had been ripped apart. You can see all these cargo nets that are on tents. You see lots of duct tape. I mean, that mountain had torn apart some of the most advanced equipment available at the time. It was 2003, but things haven't progressed too much further than that. These tents made it well. These mountain hardware tents were bomber, but other tents that were placed in different positions further out tended to shred. What happens is a wind will, the velocity will kick up so high. I mean, you're looking at maybe 80 miles an hour, and the pole itself will shear, and when the aluminum pole shears, it creates a sharp edge, and then it just starts tearing apart the tent anywhere where it starts to gouge. So that was kind of the concern a lot of us would have, is if our tent poles would be able to actually weather the storm.
So all the tent poles are aluminum, they're not fiberglass?
Yeah, they're all aluminum, except for the Walmart tents, which are always fiberglass, which I'm not knocking them a bit.
Yeah, you've used a Walmart tent more than once.
We love the kids' tent.
But those just shred. They just turn into fibers.
You would have to do 3 or 4 poles in order to make one work.
Is that a laundry line right there? That was
somebody's drying their gloves out.
Yeah. Some more prayer flags. You can hear some heavy breathing.
Absolutely.
So this is about 23,000 feet?
Uh-huh.
How many meters is that?
That would be 6,300 meters, I believe.
So 6,300, they got
actually
a lot more wind, or no, much more than 6,300.
I think that's 7,100
yeah,
meters,
7,100.
actually.
So they got a lot more wind, obviously, than we had gotten down at base camp.
Yeah, they got a lot of wind.
Do you think anyone was up at the North Col at all, period, during...
I had heard that Peter Whitaker kind of camped up there for a bit for the Outdoor Life Network specials, but I never saw any of that footage, because I imagine it was probably hard to use. Pretty loud, and then, quite gnarly up there.
So this here is footage from our Russian friends, and they they're having to, put their tents back together.
Yep.
Trying to see, it looks like that's... Wow, just look at how buried some of that stuff is.
It was a nasty storm.
What was the atmosphere like up there? Were people kind of depressed? Like, some people probably lost some stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, some tents didn't make it and they're just gone.
Yeah, I think people were mostly just really intimidated at that point because, people think that, just because it's climbed more frequently now than it used to be, that somehow it's toned itself down a bit, which is not true at all. It's still just as nasty as it was in the beginning. And, sometimes technology can handle that load and sometimes it can't. There's a North Face tent that didn't do so hot.
Палатки стоят как новенькие. Вместо того, чтобы пускать горькие слезы, наши ребята подручными средствами, можно сказать,
This is Andre talking behind the camera. I don't speak a word of Russian, so I'm going to talk over it, but he's probably saying, we really got creamed up here.
We wish we had more tents. And we can't believe that it's this windy here.
так просто нас не задавят.
But everyone was some people were in a kind of a state of shock at this point, but then not soon after this is when people started pooling resources.
Yeah, well, we all realized that the only way to climb it was going to be to continue to work together. I mean, that's what you find on a mountain that's,
У ребят будет более
I guess,
глубоким.
that has so many commercial expeditions going on at one time. You have to cooperate with everybody. It crosses language barriers, it crosses, international borders. It's all about people kind of realizing, well, we've all really worked our whole lives to get here. Now, we've lost our tent or we've lost our down suit. What do? We work together. Everyone wants to be able to experience the mountain.
Well, one of the famous sort of, I would like to say misconception about Everest, but again, not being a climber, I need you to verify it for me, is that it's every man for themselves and teams are actually competing against each other. Did
Right.
you find that was the case?
No, I didn't see any. I mean, the only competition was from a large, very successful, I guess you would say successfully run outfitter who logistically thought that he could tell everyone else how they could climb and when they could climb. And then there were the rest of us who just told him that we weren't as in favor of his success as we were to see all of our groups succeed.
Everyone get a
And
chance.
So, sometimes there's some personalities and some egos involved in the mountain who feel a sense of entitlement or maybe some ownership over it. But the bottom line is that it's pretty much there for all of us to share. So you don't have to listen to somebody else to tell you what to do. It's your mountain to climb. There's a hang glide.
Did you see that? Did you
Yeah,
see that while
yeah.
you were up there?
I did.
That's
That's
just-
outrageous. It's cool.
That's part of the circus we like to call Everest.
Yeah.
What a view he's probably got though.
Yeah, it would be pretty fun to fly around up there.
Okay, so we're gonna leave Ben up at the North Col for a little bit, and this is back down at base camp, rejoining me. That's probably a sunset.
Yeah, it's definitely sunset.
I've said it before, but I always smile every time I see it, that Everest just stayed lit longer than anything else around. It's the highest point on the planet. This is some footage from over at the St. Petersburg camp, I'm guessing.
Looks like it, yeah. I always liked this shot. Where we put it in the film.
Yeah, we put it much later.
Much later.
Much
It
later.
worked so good there,
Now, when you edit the film, you can put stuff out of order to tell the story you want to tell, but the podcast is... I'm trying my best to keep everything in chronological order. And whenever I have a time and date stamp, I use it. I make sure everything's pieced in its proper space. Point in time. That was a nice sunset.
Mm-hmm.
A little sunset over a little stupa or chorten there. Not too windy right now.
No, not half bad.
How many watts footing.
All right, so there are a few days I did not film a whole lot, and so what you're kind of seeing is you're seeing sort of me going through various days of footage here. Now, this is back at my home away from home. This is the St. Petersburg camp, my Russian friends, and this is Dima again. He's the doctor. Worked on my foot and kept all of us in, as repaired as possible. And some people in emails have asked me, what you guys have all this technology out there. What do you do when it breaks? Well, you have a choice. You have two choices actually. You can just leave it be, or you can try to repair it. And so, what he's got here is he's got this little vaporizing device that creates this very fine mist that you actually breathe in, and it helps to soothe your irritated bronchial passages and whatnot. And he had two of these, and one of them just stopped working, and this thing was great. Did you ever use it, Ben?
No, I didn't, but seeing those other guys use it all the time, it certainly helped them out.
It actually looked like some sort of drug paraphernalia. It looked like a bong, and it had this little steam almost that would come out of it, and you just curl your lips into like an O, and you just inhale and suck in the. What he'd do is he'd make this concoction of like mint and spearmint and
not too much
tea, and he'd boil some water and he'd put it in there, and so it had this nice flavor to it, and it just was really, really pleasant. So, but anyway, so this thing broke, and it just turned out that Dima grew up as a son of a small electronic repair shop. His dad ran a little electronic repair shop in St. Petersburg, so he had a little bit of electronic background.
Maybe contact.
And so he decided he was going to set out to fix it. So he and I walked over to the Chinese camp, and we borrowed a soldering iron. And at altitude, that's my coffee. At altitude, you're not always thinking straight, no matter how intelligent a person you are. And he kept finding that it just wasn't heating up to the temperature he wanted. It wasn't really heating up at all. So I think I asked him if it was turned on or plugged in, and it wasn't. So.
Nice. It's just not hot enough.
Wait.
How brilliant is that they had a soldering iron,
They had everything at the Chinese camp.
Yeah, they had it all.
Good.
Oh, yeah. There was a man there. His name was Mr. Chang. I don't know what his first name was, but everyone called him Mr. Chang. And we went over there and asked if we could borrow a soldering iron.
Do you have Leatherman? No.
My Leatherman?
Yeah.
Back at camp, I'll get it.
Yeah.
And we went in there to one of their dome tents, and they said, "Oh, you need Mr. Chang." Everyone was like, "Oh, you need Mr. Chang, Mr. Chang." So we finally find this guy, and he's chain smoking cigarettes, and they were smoking so much there, just couldn't imagine it. Dima here smoked. He was a smoker, but he actually quit for the expedition because it was just too hard to breathe up there. You have to remember that we're at about 17,000 feet. So, he's a surgeon, but he was struggling trying to repair this thing.
Maybe it will be work.
That's his little thermos. He kept his little mint concoction in.
Nice.
I had, as you've heard me coughing in the background. I had a really bad cough. Ben remembers it. And Dima hooked me up with some of the loose leaf tea that the spearmint and mint teas. And I still have them. And I still, I brew up a little concoction whenever I have difficulty with, like, a chest cold. My wife likes it too. It's really pleasant stuff.
Don't work.
Does this need to be
No.
just to get it out of the way?
It's temperature contact.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't worry.
Don't worry. It will work out.
I
Puma
think
is
it's
in control.
broken forever.
Yeah. I think it's broken forever. Maybe not.
Вряд ли.
He and I were best friends at camp. He was my summer camp friend. We spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, Demon's a good man.
Ладно, может быть, подержишь его? Good. Yeah, right.
That's one dirty hand.
Is that your hand?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Say,
I don't know. I don't know. It might be.
Hardcore.
I don't
Mine was probably dirtier.
use...
I was filthy.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
just filthy the whole time I was there.
That's what it's about.
I apparently have terrible hygiene practices.
Especially out there.
No. It is not.
Yeah, it didn't work. That we had to retire it, and we walked back over to the Chinese camp to return the soldering iron, and Mr. Chang was there, and he's like, "Did it work? Did it work?" And we said, "No, it didn't work." And he gave us each a hug.
Oh, man.
He was so sorry for
It's
us.
like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, that's cool. At least we had the soldering iron.
Yeah. So, well, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Next few episodes are going to be without Ben because I spent a lot of time with some other people. You met them last week in the previous episode, Julian and Rupert, and I'm really hoping I can get them on the Skype to talk about our adventures while so many of the other climbers were up higher on the mountains sorting out the gear. So also, we're going to look out in your podcatchers, whether you use iTunes or something else, because I'm going to be releasing some bonus episodes hopefully very soon. So if you normally only update my podcast every week, you might want to look because we finally have Ben's China slideshow.
Yeah, wild horses. It's going to be pretty fantastic. It's what I was up to this fall, was just over in China, putting up some new routes and having a great time exploring a very remote region in Sichuan. So you should definitely check it out. It's very intriguing story. Cool place.
So it'll take a tangent from Everest, but it's still the Himalaya, and you're really going to enjoy it. So it'll be a bonus episode. It won't replace any episodes. It'll just be in addition to everything. So keep checking for those extra episodes. Make sure you download them and watch them. And we'll see you next week.
Peace.
The Rest of Everest is downloaded all over the world every week. If you enjoy watching and would like to show your support, then take a look at my website. Aside from having lots of additional blog entries from the expedition updated every week, there's this little donation button on every page. Now, many of you have pressed that button, and your generous contributions are helping to cover my hosting fees. If you haven't donated but would like to, then just contribute any amount. In return, I'll give you access to the video and audio dispatches I sent out while we were actually at Everest. It's pretty interesting stuff. Contribute $25 or more, and I'll even throw in an iPod-compatible version of the film Everest: The Other Side. That's the project the entire podcast here is based on. As always, our announcer is Marlon May, and our music is provided by Wendy Wu. Check her out at wendywu.com. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.